Hi, honey. My documentation continues. I just came for a walk/run in the park right next to Guadalajara's house. They are currently excavating and doing all kinds of repairs and stuff. I don't know if you can see. They're like digging out the other side of that bridge, the channel and stuff. Basically, it floods really badly here, and so they're trying to get this waterway back under control, and they're expanding the channel and widening it and deepening it, and it's a mess. It smells really bad, actually, because it's a bad hydrology of like standing water plus flooding, and it's just like all kind of fucked up. And there's a big lagoon in the park that acts as like a detention basin, and they really need it for the watershed, like storage in the watershed. And so they've also expanded that. And there are some homes like on the periphery of the park that have flooded and are like, chronically flood. But even after they expanded the lagoon, like it didn't stop the flooding. And so people are really pissed. It's actually a very controversial park project because the community has not been informed of the process. They haven't been like shown the plans, like just equipment shows up. It's basically like how the freeways were built in the United States, where the government, nobody like said jack shit until like the moment came to excavate and do stuff, and then that's how the community found out. So there have been a lot of protests and people like blocking, like shutting down the streets, like people blocking machines and equipment from being able to like start the work. In fact, my tío Gerardo was one of the ones who was like hugging, like had his arms around a tree to prevent them from cutting it down, because there's so many trees in this park. Like it's really, really pretty and very rare in this fucking enormous city. And so he was trying to prevent like the park people from tearing down the tree, and so he had his arms around it. But then they didn't arrest him, but he like basically, the cops came and everybody just kind of scattered. So anyway, so yeah, he's been pretty active in like the whole activist movement with regards to the park project. But it like was in the papers, and I mean, I was reading about it over there, so it was like a really big headline. So the other thing about these kinds of projects is that they take for fucking ever. And so because they can, basically it's all kind of corrupt, and the government says like, we're going to do X number of public works projects and it's going to cost Y, and they'll inflate the number. Like the procurement processes aren't as strict as they are in the United States, and so they don't have to like, or maybe they do, but they just like fudge it. They like show different bids from different contractors, and so basically they can profit off of the project by choosing contractors that they want or that are owned by the same like people that the senator works for, and like that kind of stuff. So it's very corrupt. Oh, this is where they're like, I hope they don't yell at me for like videotaping things. But this is where they're they're basically channelizing the little river here. So they're putting in this trapezoidal concrete that they put in everywhere. This is like, was, cutting edge engineering like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, I guess 50. So that's what they're doing here, which has shown to be really bad ecologically and like socially, for the community to feel disconnected from their water. But that's what's going on. So anyway, it's going to take probably a long time as well, because they always, like I say, inflate the bids, or they will show people that they're trying to do work, but then they just take forever. Sorry, that guy was following me and I was trying to sound busy. Anyway, this is turning into a longer video than I had planned, but I just wanted to show you like the park project and the park that's like literally right by Diocado's house, and tell you a little bit about like the controversy and all that stuff. And nobody expects for them to be done anytime soon, because the longer it takes, the more they have to pay and the more money they make. So there's little incentive for them to do it well and do it fast. And I think that Diocado was telling me, I was asking him about like, he's basically like a community organizer. So I was asking him about like how people are feeling now, and if they are interested in continuing to like fight. And they got some environmental attorneys involved, because when they were cutting down a bunch of trees, it like disrupted a lot of the habitats of animals. And so they, in the States, like they would have to show, in order for like the Army Corps of Engineers or anybody to give them a permit to continue the work, they would have to show that they brought in experts, or that they had the experts on staff to like understand how to manage the habitat and the wildlife. But I don't know that they have to do that here, or if it is a law, they just don't follow it. So the attorneys like help them file a claim, but I don't know that it did anything. So there's a bunch of these, this is like a ramp, and then there's a whole bunch of like those little, I guess, more ramps. That's for like bicycles or skateboarders or whatever, to go do like fun jumps and things. They put that in a couple of years ago. And then there's this like old train. They did do some improvements to the park, I would say maybe like 6 years ago, because the Pan American Games were here. And so they did a whole bunch of like projects across the city to prepare Guadalajara as the host. And so, for example, they built this natatorium. I don't even know if this is open anymore, but oh, there's a lifeguard there, so I guess so. And then they put in like a new football field, or soccer field is what I mean by football. And they did do, I think like some of this pathways recently paved in the last 6 years. So they did do some improvements then, kind of scattered throughout the city. Man, this is in rough shape. But there's this like old rail car that's been here for a while. That is pretty cool. You can go up into this yellow one. Let's see what we got here. And I think that Marisa came and had her like engagement photos taken here. What is going on? And clearly there is life that goes inside of there, because there is graffiti on like every surface. Kind of a cool shot. Anyway, yeah. So this is the park, and just kind of stretching my legs and showing you what is right here. So maybe you can watch this when you get home tonight, because this is a little bit longer, but oh, cool. But I just wanted to share the stuff with you. There's so much graffiti in here. I think like kids come here to make out and or destroy shit. We don't really see any like homeless people in this park, which is nice. But yep. So all right, I'm gonna continue on my stroll. and walk over to the lagoon here and see what's going on with that body of water. But just wanted to call and say hi. Okay, love you, bye.